Feature Friday.
The freshest. Hello, we're back, and this is one of the favorite things that I like to do.
Yes, so
breakdown choreo.
This is an ongoing series on the channel where after a big comeback and stuff like that, with someone or an individual that has a big sort of dance background and stuff like that, Waleska loves to sit down and reminisce on her dancing days and also helps us understand a bit of the dancing stuff, what's going on. A lot to talk about with Jimin. Of course, it is a big dance number. And also, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, but a lot of people have a feeling about the whole Autotune and the
we'll talk
production
about it
value
when
and
it
stuff.
comes.
Let's stop.
We'll go deeper into that. Okay, here's one of the things that I wanted to talk right from the beginning. The brilliantness of how well structured the dance layers are done. Like you see right from the beginning, everything's quite on levels. They work on levels so much. And when you're seeing it from a flat perspective, like a 2D perspective, like you're seeing it here, you're not seeing it from a bird's eye view, you're not seeing it from above. The structure of the dancers is actually so symmetric. And that precise movement in technique, it's so hard to get down. I mean, I've always said it, but it's one of the things that makes, for example, Twice so relevant in their, or 17 so relevant in their choreographies. Is like the attention to detail is so precise. And in this particular choreo, I saw it in the music video. The attention to detail, look at that, is freaking insane. But you see how they work on layers. So you're working on 3 different layers, but the second layer is just so slightly above the floor layer, so it makes you feel like it's convoluted. It makes you feel like it's busy, but it's really, really well organized. So it's chaos within perfect formation.
It's controlled chaos, then, sort of.
Basically.
Yeah, I think that's actually how I felt about this song from the beginning. And it is, well, this is meant to be the disruptor, right? This is the pre-release track. This is meant to be the track that lets people know it's like,
This is the direction we're heading.
This is a new Jimin. This is a new side of me. This is something I want to shock the world. The ops, you know what I mean? It's like, this is different.
Ops.
Oh, by the way, I don't know what happened, but when we were looking back at the video, we noticed that there was no the captions
weren't in the video, but we were reading the lyrics in the moment.
It is meant to be congruent in that sense of it's both disrupting, it's both disruptive. It's both chaotic, it's both.
But it's controlled and it's precise.
There's a method to the madness.
And it has such beautiful details. Like, continue. I think the best way to describe the movement within the understanding of the song itself is like you have really cool elements, musically speaking, like the symphonic element that happening and the epicness of the drumming. When I first heard the song, I was so overwhelmed by it, so overstimulated by so many things. In this choreo, you're kind of getting to see an isolated element of the song, which is the dance.
Dude, I love those fucking trousers.
But you see, the choreo is actually quite simplistic in approach. What makes it so interesting is the formations and the layer work. When you're seeing it on a 2-dimensional perspective, you're actually getting to admire the symmetry of it all. That's what I would like the most, the symmetry. The symmetry in the work. So you're working with a lot of hand gestures, you're working with a lot of upper body work, a lot of stuff that is commercially known for hip hop in the music video world, commercial hip hop, but it's so cool to see it done in a contemporary like approach too, like a modern dance approach, because there's a lot of floor work, there is a lot of isolated work of like upper body. This section here, the section that we're about to see right here, it's where like the big disruptor of the Autotune vocals come in place, which I think it's so brilliant because it adds so much to the idea of doing something edgy. So cool. This section of the choreo reminds me a lot of like the Run BTS era. It's so sick.
He's a great fucking dancer, dude.
He's fantastic.
Jesus
He's
Christ.
so explosive. And I think this section with the Autotune is just so disruptive. Look at that awesome freaking precision. That is insane.
So how long do you think it took them to sort of
work on precision?
the most time constraining aspect of this choreo would be the formations, right?
Yeah, the formation and the precision that you work, the precision work really, because it's like to what extent, how far you take the steps,
Right.
who's doing where, what the counts are so specific to each step. The addition of like how low, how high you go, body disposition, like where, how do you have to handle your movements, because in this particular place you're working with different body type dancers. You're not working with a cohesive kind of like all dancers look the same, all dancers act the same. You're actually working with a really varied body type in this group of performers. So that actually adds to the idea that you have to work even harder for it to all look like you're one unity. And it's so beautifully done that you really see the professionalism. Like obviously you're talking like the cream of the crop, you're talking the best of the best. It really is the best of the best, but it's so beautiful to see such precise work done to such a like hermetic extent.
Yeah.
When there are so many variables that naturally will pull you away from that.
Right.
That working against the grain is so exciting to watch. Obviously you think the person in front of you sets the mark and you just have to replicate it, but it's a lot harder. This section is so cool.
What the? I didn't even notice that in the video.
Yes, this section is so great because you're working with that idea of layers, of levels. It's so good. It's so cool. And if you pay attention, actually, his work as a soloist is quite demanding too, because he has to be aware of the formations as well.
Right.
So he, in essence, he's another dancer. He's another element of the dance perspective.
And I'm happy. I'm happy they went with that route because that is one of the aspects of sort of Jimin's performing ability that it's always so praised, and I think a lot of people always look forward to that.
Yes.
It's like I want to see him dance.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite part of Jimin as part of BTS.
Yeah, the performing, dancing aspect of it. So I'm glad they went, even though this is more, it is his solo. You would still like him to be able to sing and dance and showcase the best aspects of him.
Yeah. But look at that work. See, again, the choreography isn't busy all the time, but it's just so dynamic.
Impactful though.
But it's dynamic. That's so cool.
Set me free.
It's so great.
That bit is so
great.
epic, dude. Like,
so
Jesus.
Because it's like you're battling with your own
Demons.
shadows, and in that little circle there, you're really seeing that come to life. You see, it's so cool.
Sick. So those Korean guys that do the Instagram challenges, do like a TikTok challenge.
One Illusion, I think they're called. They're so cool.
Class.
It's awesome. Again, that's when you see the...
Well, why is it a random basketball thing?
Because they play basketball there.
What the f? It's so random. You know what's funny as well?
That's brilliant. It's
Regarding
so
the whole
great.
Autotune thing, a lot of people had an issue actually not they had to have an issue, but people were like, that's one of the aspects that caused resistance. Because I think if you've been like a BTS fan and stuff, this is our comment section by the way. If you were like a BTS fan and stuff, Autotune isn't really something utilized much, especially that sound, that sort of cadence that he's gone with here in his solo, and people were sort of saying like, I wasn't sure about the Autotune bit. The Autotune really took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting this from Jimin, and it's like I thought that was the job. I thought that was the objective.
I also thought it was a great disruptor. Given
Isn't
the
it meant to be like the ops? Oh my God, he swore. Isn't it meant to be?
It's a shock factor. Yeah.
Jimin doing hip hop. What the?
It is an extra step towards the risk taking element that we were talking in the first time we watched it. By the way, I have to say this video overall and like the musical experience of it was so overwhelming that I had to go back to it several times to like kind of digest and like dissect the whole experience, because it just kind of bombarded me in such a brilliant way. I naturally don't align with this type of concepts where you feel overwhelmed or where you don't really know what to focus on.
Too much to digest.
But in this particular case, I think it hit the nail in the head. It did what it was intended to do. Like, its intended purpose was to create shock. It was to create people to
Well,
say, oh, what are we watching? What is this?
the other thing as well is like you gotta look at the actual core of the artist and their ability per se. It's like, does he need autotune to sing live? It's like, no. Is he a really talented singer without the autotune? Yes. Is this his sound? No. That's why it worked. Because this isn't the Jimin sound, I don't think. This is the sound for this fucking concept. You know, this is the sound that he's wanted to put out now. But the sounds of the countless albums is done with BTS, you know, with filter.
There's no need to prove anything. And I think
this is just experimentation. And there's many artists that do this. Like Rosalía is a good example of this.
Yes.
Rosalía is just in a really weird vibe at the moment with the whole reggaeton, bad, you know, perreando all the fucking time. I guess her boyfriend has something to do with that and all that shit. But it's like, if you look at Rosalía's cover of La Llorona, that doesn't need autotune. That was her artistic choice.
Or when you look, like, I think that's the reason why she became so spoken about. Like, again, it's how you utilize, how you utilize this polarizing elements and bring something new to the table. And I think this is the perfect example of creating something artistic that allows the individual to really experiment, really traverse different layers that we as an audience haven't traveled with them with.
Taba from Korea is one of those as well, likes to experiment with
has always been known for
with
that.
autotune and stuff like that. And it's like, it's just because of the sound and the sort of texture it creates but it's not that, because people are saying that autotune is a tool that you actually, you know, it's like Tory Lanez is a good example of that. It's like, if you
like, it's the only thing that you can rely on.
No, it's like, it's a tool that you can, if you learn how to use it, it sounds really good. Like, it's actually, there's some skill needed. However, the skill set needed to utilize autotune, both live and in a studio, is lower than the skill set of singing, pure singing. So I think like pure singers are always above those singers that always need autotune.
But what happens when you have a really great natural singer
that just decides to use that as a stylistic choice? It's like, well, it's just a stylistic choice.
And it is brilliantly done.